Welcome to lesson 8.3 video 2. For this video you're going to need the top 3 story problems from your handout. We're going to start out with the one with Joanna, so give me a quick second while I type that up and we'll be ready to roll. Joanna needs 4 1/8 yards of fabric to make a squirrel costume. She found 3 yards on sale. How much more fabric does she need to buy? Alright, 5th graders, the first thing that we have to do is we have to set up an algebraic equation. Okay, so and when we set up this equation, what we have to do is we have to think about, okay, what does she need? How much is her total? Well, her total is given right here. Okay, so we're going to use that as our total. So 4 1/8 is our total. That's how much she has to purchase. Now, she's already found a certain amount. How much has she found? Well, she's already found 3. So she's found 3 yards, so we're going to use 3 right here. And then now all we need is what is unknown. And what is unknown, we're just going to put as a variable. And we can choose whatever letter we want, but in this case, we're going to choose F for fabric. Okay, so now my equation is 4 1/8 is equal to 3 plus F. And now our goal is to solve this. Now, the first thing we have to do, boys and girls, or the first thing we should be doing, is we want to get all our letters on one side, okay, and our numbers on the other. And to do that, we have to get rid of plus 3. And we say this is plus 3 because there's no symbol in front of it, and if there's no symbol, we automatically think it's positive. So what's the opposite of plus 3? Well, the opposite of plus 3 is minus 3. So we're going to subtract 3 from this side. Subtract 3. Whatever I subtract on one side of the equal sign, the same as sign, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to subtract 3 right there. And what I'm going to get is these two are going to cancel out, and I'm going to be left with F. And then I'm going to take 4 1/8 less 3, and I'm going to get 1/8 because that's not, I've got nothing to subtract there, and 4 less 3 is 1. So 1 1/8. So Joanna needs to purchase an additional 1 1/8 yard of fabric to make her squirrel costume. I'm very interested in what a squirrel costume will look like. All right, next we're going to need the story problem with Robert. Give me a second, I will type that up. Robert filled identical jars with 10 pints of homemade strawberry jam. Each jar held 1.25 pints. Then he made a second batch, filling the same number of jars. How many jars of jam did he fill? So the first thing, boys and girls, that we need to do is we need to write an equation. Okay? So what we do know, ladies and gentlemen, is that Robert made 10 pints. Whoops, I need my writing instrument here. He made 10 pints twice, times 2. Okay, so he made 20, and that equals 20, in case you didn't know. And that's a 2 because my stylus didn't work. He made 20 pints of jam. And we want to know how many jars he made. And each jar is 1.25. So if I take 20 and divide by j, I'm going to get 1.25. I could also, if I wanted to, I could take 1.25 times j, which means 1 and 2,500 pints times j will give me 20. Now, which way I go, it doesn't really matter. Quite honestly, I think this one here is a little bit easier for us to deal with, because what I'm going to do as we go and solve it, okay, what's the opposite of, if I have 1.25 times j, what's the opposite of times? Well, divide. So if and I don't want that line here, I need to get rid of this line because that's just going to mess us up. I don't want to mess us up. Okay, what's the opposite of times? Well, I can divide by 1.25. Whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, I'm going to do on the other. Okay, and so I probably shouldn't have written it that way because that's going to confuse some of you. I'm going to divide by 1.25. These are going to cancel out, and then I'm going to have 20 divided by 1.25. I'm going to move this over 1, 2, move decimal points over 1, 2, 0, 0, and put my decimal point right there. How many times does 125 go into 2? 0. 125 into 20? 0. 125 into 200, that would be 1. Multiply that out. That's going to be 125. Going to subtract. Oops, get it. This becomes a 0. This becomes 10. Then it becomes 9. And this becomes 10. 5, 7, and bring down the 0. 125. Well, 125. Let's go 125. And then 125 is 250. Well, 250, I'm going to need, that's essentially a quarter if I think of it this way. This is 75 cents. So let's do, that's 2. I need 2 more would be 500, and then 2 more would be 750. That's going to be 6, 750, subtract 0, 0, 0. So how many jars of jams did Robert fill? He filled 16 jars. Okay, so that is problem number 2. All right, give me a second. I'll type up problem number 3, and we'll work on that one next. A theater has 15 seats in each row. When all the tickets are sold, the theater holds 375 people. How many rows? Oops, we forgot. I think there we go. How many rows of seats are there? Okay, so what we need to do is first step we need to do is we need to write our equation. Now we know our total, so let's put that over here, 375. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 15 seats and we're going to multiply that by the number of rows, okay? Because that's what it's asking us. How many rows are there? So our equation is 15 times r equals 375, or I can just write 15r equals 375. Now, what do? Well, I want to get my letters on one side, my variables on one side, and my numbers on the other. So to do that, my numbers are here, so I'm going to divide by, oops, and I've been changing colors. Oh, I already changed colors, oops. Divide by 15. Whatever I do on one side, I'm going to do and I'm going to do it this way, just so we don't confuse anyone. Divide by 15. Okay, 15 divided by 15 is going to give me 1, or just leaves r. And then I have 375 divided by 15. And that's going to be 0. That's going to be 2. 2 times 15 is 30. Put that down. Subtract. 7, 0. Bring down my next number, which is a 5. How many 15s in 75? 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. That seems like 5 to me. Put answer on top, multiply, subtract, 0, 0. So the answer is 25 rows. All right, so that's how we work this, how we solve equations with story problems. The secret is we have to come up with the right equation. And you have to think about what you're looking for. Are we given the total, and then we have to look for a part of it? Are we given, again, most of it you're given a total and you have to figure out a missing piece. And then you just have to figure out, am I going to add, am I going to divide, or am I going to multiply, or am I going to subtract? And to figure that out, you're going to really have to pay attention to the word clues. All right, so that's it for video 2. Video 3 will be practice. There will be, I think there's 10 problems, fewer than 10 problems, so I'll talk to you on the flip side.